I come from a country called Estonia. It's on the other side, also a corner of the earth country. And to just illustrate you a little bit, then basically Estonia is like small like Malta, but with much less fortunate weather conditions. And if you think this picture is of an extreme, it's not. It's actually a picture, a random Monday morning. You start to go to work, it's November or it's up to March, and this is what you discover. You sigh, you take your shovel, and you start your week. But coming from this kind of corner of the earth country, I remember the first time when it was 15 years ago, I managed to get a scholarship to be an exchange student in the United States. And being an exchange student in New England, east coast of the States, and being from Estonia, I remember the first time everybody asked, so where are you from? I say, Estonia, nobody has ever heard of the country. And it was funny that back then, I mean, my name was complicated enough, so most of the school just called me Estonia. You can imagine how popular I was when Estonia got an Olympic gold. But basically, that was the time when I might have said I'm from Estonia, but nobody really cared. They maybe listened, they maybe thought that's my name, but they went on with their lives, because that was the time when the dotted line to success was very, very different from today. So that was the time when corporate was not yet a bad word. Nobody was talking about startups in their dorm rooms. And Malta nor Estonia were not part of the dotted line to success. It was either in London, it was New York, it was the nerve centers of the world which built your career. And just to illustrate what was happening in the world 15 years ago, then that was the time when mixtapes were still a thing. So what happened? So I went back to Estonia. Nobody understood why I did that. Why are you going to a country that nobody has heard of? Why are you going to build your career there? But I went back to Estonia, started my businesses, and meanwhile, what happened in the world was suddenly the same crowd that had learned from their parents, from the school, that the dotted line to success was a college, grad school, possibly Fortune 500 company. Suddenly, those people discovered that steady job is a myth, because the financial crisis hit, and you understood that there is no such thing as a steady job. So that very well illustrates the mindset. There was actually a survey just this June made in the States, interviewing college graduates, and 1 out of 7 want to work for a big company. And number one, the most important thing when choosing a job for the person, and 92% of the graduates answered that, number one most important thing is that what I'm working on has to make a difference, has to have an impact. So suddenly, we're living in a world where we have a workforce who's, first of all, much more willing to take risks, much more entrepreneurial, and much more curious to explore. So kind of starting to connect those dots, I started to ask, so let's take, we have a software developer sitting in New York City, and thinking that my next career step will be in Malta forever. Probably the answer is no. I'm not willing to do that. So one of the things in that question and answer that is wrong today, or what I call a big fat lie, is the fact that there is such thing as a permanent job. We pretend, like most of our companies, we hear companies are still hiring for permanent job, whereas if you take from the recruiter perspective, 10 years ago, when a recruiter was looking at a person profile, if the person had been changing jobs more than or less than 5 years, they were called job hoppers. Today, if a person has been on one job more than 3 years, then you start to ask questions. Why? What was he doing there? Why was he there so long? So on one side, you have this, and on the other side, we are hiring only for permanent positions. So there's such a lie in the conversation, and this is a conversation that we should change. So basically, what do we pretend that it is still a thing when it's not? So now asking the same question, waking up in New York City and thinking that my next career step for a year could be in Malta. Yes, please, of course. Wonderful place to discover, an inspiring team to join. So there's much more, first of all, it's much more honesty in that conversation, and it's much easier to make the step. So that was the kind of beginning. Sitting on the corner of the Earth country in the middle of the snow piles, I had the idea of connecting those dots. So what if we could attract people to those countries, those far-flung cities of the world, by saying, join us for a year. Come and see, we will help. And having the one-year conversation, which is honest, we both take a commitment that is suitable for us. Me as an employer, I can reach talent that would never consider moving to Estonia forever, whereas 1 year would be a journey for them. On the other side, the talent can have the experience. So we are 1 year old, similarly to the previous speaker, a little bit over 1 year old, and last year we were considered by the Fast Company Top Workplace Innovations of 2015. And we have today over 50,000 people actively looking to relocate. They are from 150 countries, mainly from the States, Brazil, India, a lot of tech talent from across different countries. We have over 1,500 companies using our platform, and I think the most, I liked how Sarah said, the core thing that the company, especially sitting in those places which are not the first, or which have not been the first choice for your next career step, is that those people who join Jobbatical, they are looking to relocate, and they have identified the regions they want to relocate. So you already have the mindset. But now going back to my American experience, then one of the things, it was 15 years ago, it was long before I ever had the idea of Jobbatical, but it was the start of the inspiration. One thing I thought when I was observing my own journey, my own year in America, was how I was changing. What was the impact for me when I was in that different environment, and what was the impact I actually gave to the crowd or the people I met. So what was the outcome, the result of this collaboration between different cultures? And in that sense, in Jobbatical, what we believe in is that diversity is what actually brings the explosion of ideas. And I mean, take the simplest example. We all praise Silicon Valley. We say, we are building Silicon Valleys in Malta, in Estonia, in Malaysia. We are building Silicon Valleys everywhere. Number one thing in Silicon Valley is diversity. Like 74% of all computer science mathematical employees between 25 and 44 are foreign-born. 51% of all billion-dollar or unicorns in the States are founded by immigrants. So having the mixture of cultures, and something that we saw on the previous slides as well, is what creates new ideas. It's the core thing to help to build global companies. So our goal and our mission is to make as many of those diverse teams across the borders. We have companies that we work with from Penang Island in Malaysia to Bali in Indonesia and Malta. So just building those Silicon Valleys by just bringing people with very diverse backgrounds and their skills. So that is shortly that. Thank you very much.